All right, we are continuing our wheat sector review looking at OGI, HEXO, MSOS, and it's been a really long time since I've covered green lane. I believe GNLN stands for that. So yeah, throwing that in here as well. Look, going into today, there was really some hopes that the sector would see a little bit of a recovery. Clearly, the 8 moving average here was just a little too hard to break, and unfortunately, we also lost a support line, which is never good, right? So we'll get into the details shortly, but before we do, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how things are setting up. We have our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself, and then when we're done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can please like and subscribe, it does really well with the YouTube algorithms, but even if you don't, just thank you so much for watching these, okay? And then look, if you disagree with anything I got to say, please throw it in the comments, all right? You're not going to offend me. I am not perfect or all-knowing, so I'm telling you, I would love to hear your thoughts versus just kind of sit one-minded with my own thoughts, right? So two-way street here. Okay, let's get into the details. Look, first and foremost, I hope it jumps at you right away. Being under the 8 moving average is such a bad place to have your money. It's such a hard line to break. You know what I mean? And even when we break it once, it's the confirmation and follow through that just is so hard to hold, right? From there, what happens? Look, we're literally just moving down these moving averages, right? And it's obviously starting to kind of mix in with my lines as well. But yeah, once we lose this, we come to this, try to hold it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it really makes sense that we've worked our way down to the 61 line. I'll be honest, I don't know if there's anything below 61. Okay, there is. Man, I gotta go back to 2016. I'm not drawing any new lines. I'm not gonna go back to, like, these are still really our lines, I think. I'll throw this in there just to have it. But again, this green might be more substantial than this line right here, and it very easily could be a hard drop from 50 to 20, give or take, right? But yeah, this 61 line is definitely we don't want to lose it because, again, all I'm kind of seeing, and again, we're going back to 2016. How good of a support can it be if it's almost 10 years old, right? It's about a 7-year-old line. Like, come on now. We got to go that far back to catch these. I'm not a big fan of that, right? So we're obviously not in all-time lows, but it just feels like this all-time low fall because, again, we have to go so far back for the resistances, right? Or for the supports, excuse me. But yeah, more than anything, I mean, I'm telling you, I think the 8 moving average is the entire story. The fail today was really bad. And look, there wasn't even a pretend. We gap down and keep going down. And it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, the low and the high, yeah, I mean, the low and the close are the same. Like, literally, the entire day, people could not stop selling. There's nothing worse than no wick at the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, literally, to the last minute, people were just dying to sell, right? So, look, as long as we're under the 8, as long as we're under the 20, you cannot expect good things. And again, hopefully this 61 line, look, like this thing kind of held it for a few days, right? This one obviously didn't, but I think the 61 line has enough distance between that last strong one, the 74. Hopefully we'll go a little horizontal here because, again, from here was the drop to 40, or I think 50, right? 48, something like that. And then after 48, that's where it got scary. So be very careful with OGI. This is a horrible weekly chart. When your weekly charts look like this, there's nothing you can expect the daily to do but be red. You know what I mean? So not too much time to spend here. You know I'm not hating. You know I'm not bashing. I'm just talking about the lines and the technicals, right? HEXO. What went from expectations of really, I'll be honest, I mean, hitting the 200 was kind of the expectation, right? We did a real good job of filling most of the gap. We did a decent job of holding while the rest of the sector fell. Started to even work our way up, but obviously never got close to the 100, let alone the 200, right? But this up is slowly starting to, like, this down is what I'm starting to fear this might become, right? And obviously just the earnings were not good. I did not see the earnings. I did not look at the guidance. There's nothing I know about it. However, I know that it failed this really important 8 moving average break, right? Clearly, if the news was good, we wouldn't have seen the gap down. We would have seen a strong gap up, right? Maybe even over all 3 of these lines. And that's when we really would have been talking about going to the 200, right? But yeah, at this point, we just lost a pretty important line, and all I really see here is this green single candle, which might make it a really quick down. You can already see we're almost halfway there on just a single day, right? So maybe this is actually where we wicked it. That does make sense. But again, I don't think, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to lie. This 112 better hold. There's a little bit of a plateau right here, so maybe you can argue this will be a strong line. But yeah, this for sure wasn't going to be much of a strong line, right? Like this green is quickly turning to red, right? So a lot of reason to believe we'll come to 91. You know what I mean? And then is it all-time lows after 91? Man, it is. You do not want to lose 91 cents on HEXO if you're here. And man, I gotta go back. No, I think no, never mind. I'm confusing myself. Okay, yeah, that's really all we got here. Look, I'm not gonna talk about the MACD, RSI, or volume because 80% of the work is up here, and all we're doing is failing moving averages. I'm seeing the 8 want to go down. I'm seeing the 20 want to go down. There's so much bad up here that none of these really matter. And let's be honest, none of these look good anyways, right? So there's not too much to talk about here. MSOS. This is another one where it just seemed like we were days away, especially at this point, from breaking this line and making a monster run to the 200. Instead, this line was literally just too much. That's why it's called a resistance line. It literally resisted the break, and we see the aftermath. And look, I'll give way more power to the 50 moving average than my line, but you can see where the line came from. I mean, a lot of it was both. But yeah, this was the fail moment. We've obviously talked about that the last couple weeks, and all we're doing now is working our way down. We're now seeing the 8 want. It's the exact same story, right? When you see the lines wanting to go down, you really can't expect too much more, right? And we just lost a pretty important moving average. A support line. That is the all-time low support line. So we are now in all-time lows. This is not where you want your money. Hopefully, this will try to keep us a little more parallel to going down, but this 8 moving average telling me we want to keep going lower. This 20 is telling me we want to keep going lower. And look, there are no supports for me to draw. It is a black hole vortex when you lose the all-time low support. So just very, very much be careful here for sure, okay? Be very, very careful. I'll talk about the weekly real quick. Again, what are we doing on the weekly? Just trading under the 8 moving average, nowhere near the 20 moving average either, right? So you cannot expect much good when this is what it's looking like, right? So again, there's not too much to talk about, just being honest, right? Green lane. Okay, so this was, I really wish I posted this over the weekend. I'm really sorry I didn't, right? But you can see it's a lot of the same story that we saw with, I think it was OGI. I think that was, right? Yeah, exact same thing. Looks like it wanted to break the 8. Definitely does not today. Again, same thing we see, right? Looked like it wanted to break the 8. Definitely does not. But again, you know when the 8 and the 20 are this tight, I don't like that, right? It's really hard to break one, let alone a second one, right, when it's this tight. Because again, when you break 2 moving averages, my expectation for confirmation becomes a lot higher, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't like when moving averages are this tight. Obviously, there's not too much more to say, right? We have definitely failed the 8 break. We're now working our way down. I obviously hate that we lost this, right? I don't even know if we're in all-time lows right now. We're not, but I mean, again, I'm just kind of drawing the line as we go. Let me just go to the weekly real quick. Yeah, I think that's our all-time low. I mean, look, I'll be honest, because the question was specifically for this. Listen, I am not a proponent of, proponent's not the word. I am not one I hate averaging down. Wow, I could not get that sentence out. There is nothing worse, and I'm telling you, I've literally lived this where I was putting a good portion of my bi-weekly paycheck into a stock that was just going down, 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 and I kept saying, what a good deal, what a good deal, what a good deal. After doing that for so long, you run out of money, right? And look, obviously I never got fired. It's not like the income stopped coming in, but like when you keep putting your money in something that just keeps going down, after a while you start to look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, what the hell am I doing with my money? You know what I mean? So I would much rather wait for these lines to start looking like they want to go up than ever consider averaging down on my way down while these lines look like they're going down, right? So that's just me. I am never going to tell you what to do with your money. You know that, right? Like your situation might be so much different than mine. For all I know, you can lose 100 grand tomorrow and still sleep like a baby, right? Some people would literally jump out of a building if that happened, right? Scary shit to talk about, but it's true, right? So again, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money, but I'm very loud about just considering averaging up instead of averaging down, okay? Look, this was clearly a bad review. All four stocks were bad. In my head, that means when all four have the same rejection and same bad, you gotta believe that bad is gonna sustain, right? So hopefully something picks up in the sector. Hopefully some news comes, but yeah, so far no good, right? So hey, if you disagree with anything, please throw it in the comments. Otherwise, just thank you for your time.